see the formation they're in today is called the wedge, from the shape it resembles. In a loop such as this, the aircraft are flying around 4 to 5 G, making the pilot and all their flying equipment weigh around 400 kilograms in the cockpit.
As they're flying this tight formation, you said that there is only one guy that's looking out to see what's going on?
That's absolutely right, Joe. Roulette leader, squadron leader Steve Baker is the only pilot looking out to make sure that the display is conducted safely and without breaking any height or distance barriers. All other pilots are doing nothing but looking at leader. So they're lining up visual cues with his aircraft. And there are no autopilots here, ladies and gentlemen. These aircraft are very basic to fly. They're just using highly refined hand-eye coordination to maintain position just 3 meters from the next aircraft. Here they come, ladies and gentlemen. Get those cameras rolling for another look in the wedge formation. In a high G environment that these pilots are experiencing, we wear what we call G-suits, and this gives us extra tolerance against the high G environment. Every time the aircraft falls more than 2 G, the G-suit will inflate around the legs and torso of the pilots, constricting the blood and keeping it up in the upper torso in the head. They also have to practice breathing exercises to make sure they don't black out in high G maneuvers such as this. And again, in this turn, they're flying about 4 to 5 G. Seeing today, ladies and gentlemen, it's the Roulettes PC-9. Designed in Switzerland, built in Australia, the Royal Australian Air Force took delivery of these aircraft in 1990. And since then, the aircraft have flown around 60,000 hours collectively as the Advanced Trainer at No. 2 Flying Training School located at RAAF Base Pearce near Perth on the west coast of Australia.
A lot of people, like myself, would have thought that the color of the Roulettes was simply because it's an aerobatics team and you want to be seen. There is another practical reason for the color.
Exactly, Joe. These aircraft, as I said, they're used as the advanced trainer on pilot's course. So each student can expect to fly about 120 hours in these aircraft. But one of the reasons that they painted this colour scheme is to make them so visible and really visible for all pilots who are flying around in the same airspace. Makes it very easy to locate each other when separated. As you see now, they're including the Leaders Benefit Fly Pass. The Leaders Benefit Fly Pass is a tribute to our very first roulette leader, squadron leader Phil Dunn. He first led the team in 1971, making the Roulettes one of the oldest flying display teams in the world. Now changed into the six-pack formation as they set up for the six-pack to twin loop.
So let's take us inside the cockpit of roulette number 1. Besides flying the formation, he's also calling out the formation, isn't he?
Exactly. So all the pilots, they know the show back to front, inside out, but he gives them all the timing cues and formation position changes. So during the whole display, he's the only pilot who's actually talking, and they base everything off what Roulette 1 says. And watch at the top of the loop, ladies and gentlemen, as they go from the six-pack to twin Vic for another 4G fly past.
By reference to Roulette 1, they must have a lot of trust in it.
They do. It's not something we just jump into. It's about a 4 to 5 month workout program for each pilot who's selected for a position in the team. They'll undergo continuous flying training to make sure that they're ready and safe for public display. And again, there's a lot of manoeuvres where these pilots will go completely blind to the formation. So there's a lot of practice and a lot of trust amongst the pilots.
Now, when you say completely blind to the formation, what does that mean?
Well, that means, Joe, that they completely lose sight of every other aircraft in the formation, and they've got to time it just right and the right control inputs to make sure that everything's nice and safe. If you look to your right now, ladies and gentlemen, Roulettes 5 and 6 are running in for the roulette mirror. There is no illusion with this maneuver. These aircraft are directly above and below each other. These aircraft are around about 10 metres long, so if you use your imagination, the tail fins are around about 2 metres from each other. Out to your right again, ladies and gentlemen. Roulettes 1 through 4 are running in for the corkscrew. Roulette 1 is now inverted, and roulette 4 fly barrel rolls around the rear of the formation.
And this is one of those maneuvers you were speaking about where we can't see each other for some of the time.
Exactly, so as roulette leader rolls inverted, as he's just done, he loses sight of all the other aircraft, so he's got to make sure that he's got to trust, especially roulettes 2 and 3, who are right next to him, to make sure that they're in perfect position. And also roulette 4, as he's flying around the rear of the formation, he often does lose sight. And again, has to time his control inputs perfectly right to make sure that everything's done safely. And they've done a fantastic job of that today. So you can see roulettes 5 and 6 have rejoined the formation back into the wedge formation. A bit about the engines powering these aircraft. It's the Pratt & Whitney PT6 engine. It's a jet engine that forces hot air onto a turbine that spins the propeller. Produces around about 1,000 shaft horsepower and can push these aircraft up to around 600 kilometres per hour. And here they come again, ladies and gentlemen, in the Delta formation.
Turboprop engines that you're talking about, there's an interesting thing about which way the jet engines are actually facing.
That's exactly right, Joe. The engines inside the aircraft are actually put in back to front. That was deliberate, I can assure you. And so what happens is the air still comes in just under the nose of the aircraft, and the air does a 180-degree turn. It's mixed with fuel and burn and pushed back towards the nose of the aircraft through a turbine that spins the propeller. From there, the air will take another 180-degree turn and come out the back of the aircraft. So it's a few S-turns, but we lose pretty much no efficiency in the process. As they come in now, they're in wedge formation for the roulette rollbacks. And again, this is a manoeuvre where 2 and 3 and 5 and 6 will lose sight of the formation. Ladies and gentlemen, the roulettes have now moved into the Vulcan formation, which is one of the most difficult formations to fly in, mainly because roulettes 5 and 6 are on the back end of the formation on the left and right. Have to fly such a long distance away from roulette leader, so every time he turns or pulls up, they have to cover a lot more track miles through the air.
That is something that is actually very easy to forget, simply because of the tight formation that they've got. They seem like just one bird in the sky.
Exactly, and that's the entire point of that's what they're aiming for today, is look like one giant entity that's flying in perfect harmony. But as they pull up for the Vulcan barrel roll, you'll see that roulettes 5 and 6 have to fly a longer distance around the arc of the barrel roll. And again, they have to anticipate the power chains required to maintain perfect position. Not exactly sure what 5 and 6 are complaining about, ladies and gentlemen. They've done another perfect job. Uniquely, the roulettes are all qualified flying instructors located at RAAF Base East Sale at the Central Flying School. These pilots come from all types of operational backgrounds, including the airlift group, flying the C-130, the C-17 and the Caribou aircraft. They also come from maritime patrol aircraft, as well as the frontline fighters, the F-18 Hornet and the Super Hornet. When these pilots aren't flying as the roulettes, they are teaching already qualified pilots how to be instructors, which means they've gone out to a flying school, taught students, then come back to the Central Flying School to learn how to teach the art of instruction to qualified pilots. The smoke you see today is generated by spraying a mineral oil and diesel mix into the hot exhaust gases where it's vaporising. This comes from a modification we've made to the aircraft by putting an oil tank in the rear of the tail. It holds 30 litres of oil, and these aircraft will go pretty much through all of that during a display.
Relatively small aircraft. I imagine the range of it can't be that big. Coming up from Australia must have been a bit of a challenge.
It was, that's exactly right, Joe. These aircraft have pretty much had a fuel within about 2 hours. So we flew all the way from just near Melbourne in southern Australia, in the southeastern corner. We came up here, it took us 5 days to fly up here, including 11 fuel stops. So it's quite a long journey, but we're more than happy to come up here and support our friends in Singapore and help to promote the Airshow. It's a rare occasion that we get to go so far from home, and all the guys and myself are just having a wonderful time. The roulettes are running in now for our grand finale, the Roulette Cascade. Have your cameras ready. This morning's flying display. Put your hands together and thank the Roulettes. We'll be filming again later today and of course tomorrow as well before heading home to Australia. Thank you very much, Singapore, for having us, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you and good morning from the Roulettes.
You'll be able to catch also a special photograph taking and autograph signing session with the Roulettes.